Hello and welcome to the inaugural video of my channel. Going to be doing a lot of cool stuff here in the kitchen and out on the barbecue. So I figured for my first video I would make something that been making in my family for a long time, and it's kind of some comfort food, especially in these crazy times we're in right now. So I am going to be doing my mother's apple cake. So let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is we need 3 cups of flour. So I'm going to get 3 cups, and you usually want to level these things off. So I'm going to. Oh yeah, but don't mind my cluttered kitchen. This is a real kitchen. I don't have one of those fancy big kitchens like everybody else does. This is actually a, I got a small kitchen and it gets used a lot, so it's cluttered. So I apologize for the mess, but what are you going to do? Alright, so you want 3 cups of flour. And yes, I am reading this off the recipe because I can't do it by memory yet, as many times as I've made it. So, 3, well that's 1. And then again, you don't need a fancy leveler. Back of a butter knife works perfect. 1. Should have some music in the background or something. Maybe I can figure that out when I edit it. I don't know. Anyway, there's 2. There's 3. So we're done with that. Lid back on so nothing happens to it. Alright, I need a teaspoon of baking soda. Again, and a teaspoon of salt. Kind of put that in like that. Alright, that's it for the dry ingredients. I'm going to take a little spatula, and you don't need to, you can whisk it if you want to, or you just take the handle and mix it around like so. Just get all that stuff mixed in there. And I guess you don't have to do this, but I just always find it works better if everything's all mixed together. Just leave that there for now. Now for the wet ingredients. Alright, so I need my cup again. I had all this stuff set out, organized, and it's getting in my way. That's alright. So I need 3 cups of sugar. No, not 3 cups of sugar. 2 cups of sugar. See, I can't do it by memory yet. Now my mom can. She's made so many of these, she just whips them out like nothing. But now ask me about comic books or movies and I'm all over that. 1. And I know what you're saying, but Sean, shouldn't the oil go in first? No, actually not. I've found that I think, personally, it mixes better when you don't put it in first. When you put the oil is actually going to go in last, believe it or not. Which I think it helps a little, just makes it a little smoother. Alright, so there's the 2 cups of sugar. And what do we need next? 3 eggs. Break my garbage can over here. Yes, that's a Domino's pizza box. Now, there's a disclaimer here that I am a horrible egg cracker, so don't laugh. 1, 2. Well, at least I don't have to mix that one up. It's already scrambled. And 3. And always keep a towel handy because I am a messy baker. All right. Now we're going to do 2 teaspoons of vanilla. One, 2. All right. Actually, I don't think we need that anymore, so I'm going to throw that in the sink. All right. And now for the oil. Just 1.5 cups of oil, vegetable oil. Like I said, you put it in last because I think it just helps it to mix better. But that's just my personal opinion. Make sure it all gets in there. Now I'm going to mix it, and you're probably wondering why I'm doing it this way. I don't have a fancy stand mixer, but I would happy to test one out. I'm looking at you, KitchenAid. So we're just going to mix this up, and then we'll start putting the dry ingredients in here in a second. That's pretty good. That's about where you want it. On a side note, I've had this little mixer for about 20 years. Bought this thing at Walmart for like $15. And this thing is just, it's a trooper. Because you're going to hear in a minute. Because this is a very thick batter. So, since I don't have a mixer, I'm just going to dump a little bit in at a time. Dump a little bit more in. That's good. You hear that starting to bog down now? It'll be funny if this thing burns out in my first video. I want to make sure you get all the flour and stuff off the sides, although once we start hand mixing this, that won't be a problem, but oh yeah. It's since I put the oil in last with the wet ingredients, it just seems like it's a lot smoother of a batter. But now the fun begins. Like I said, I've had this mixer for about 20 years, and It's held up admirably. Even if I did get something new, I'm not sure I would get rid of it. Oh, yeah. How long it took it for it to get back up to speed. It's that's why I do this slowly, because this poor thing. It's you have to find new and creative ways to do things when you don't have a lot of the right equipment. You gotta figure ways around it. But since I can't afford like a big stand mixer or anything, but that's all right. I'm just doing that to get all the excess batter off the beaters there, and try not to make a complete mess of my kitchen at the same time. It's an acquired skill. All right, done with that. Woo, there we go. Yeah. He just keeps chugging along. Too quick. Alright, I think that's about all the stuff we're going to get off, and the best part, everything tastes better in batter form. Yeah, I know, raw eggs and all that, whatever. So we're going to set these over here. You know what, they're just going to go in the sink. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fold in our apples and pecans. Calls for 2 cups of apples. I usually put in, depends on how big they are. If they're small apples, usually do like 4 or 5, depending how small. If they're big apples, you can get away with 3. But when you chop them up, you want to put them in a bowl of cold water so they don't turn brown on you. And you just kind of drain them off like so, because you don't want to get any extra moisture in the batter. Alright, so the apples go in. I'm just going to fold these in. I'm doing this all at the same time to save time. Alright, stick that over there. And then we've got a cup of chopped pecans that we put in there, and now we're just going to fold it all together. Which Yeah, you thought the beaters had a hard time getting through this. This is I call this the workout batter because you will get a workout trying to stir this. It is incredibly thick. But at the same time, incredibly delicious. Just try to go around at least once and fold in from the sides. And oh, by the way, oh, never mind. I can't remember what I was going to say now. All right. So, could have been too important. Anyway, that. Sorry, getting a little silly there. Try to get as much of this off as possible. Beautiful. All right, now the fun part. Let me get these out of the way. So over here, I have a bundt pan. I have a cast iron bundt pan. Because if you're going to bake cakes, you might as well get something quality. I've done this for years with a little cheap bundt pan that I got at Walmart or Meijer or whatever. I don't remember where I got it. But after a couple of years, my cakes just started falling apart and they just stuck in the pan. They weren't working right. So I got a really good one. Bundt pan. It's cast iron. I use cast iron 99% of the time. I am a cast iron aficionado, and I just think there's no other way to cook. So this is what I use. And so we're going to get this in the bundt pan here, and try and spread this around, which is going to be a challenge because I gotta hold the bowl and try and spin the bundt pan. And you want this as even as possible. You don't want it high on one side and low on the other because it just won't turn out right. Oh yeah, I probably should have told you too that before you start, you want to put down a layer of Crisco on the inside of your bundt pan and then put some flour in there too, just a light coating of flour to make sure that this thing does not stick in there. So there's a little bit of prep work with this cake, but it's real worth it. It's it's not a difficult cake to make, but it's just you do the prep work on it, and everything turns out beautiful. It's a little uneven, so I'm going to have to smooth it out. And I would like to say that I'm going to put the recipe in the descriptions, but I don't even know how to do that yet. I am literally just shooting from the hip on this thing. So I hope the videos get better as I go along here, because I literally have no clue what I'm doing other than the cake. So if anybody out there wants to help me out, send me a message, comment on the video, or send me a Facebook message or whatever. I just Also, if you actually like the video, and I didn't screw it up too bad, you can always hit the like and subscribe button, and that would be awesome. And if you think I'm a total hack, send me a comment. I think I do a fair job. No means an expert, but got as much of the batter out as I think we're going to get. Okay. Good enough. Good enough. So like I said, we want to kind of smooth this around because it's a little high on one side. You just want to kind of eyeball it. Make sure it looks even. And that looks pretty good, and you can see that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to stick it in a 325 degree oven for an hour and 20 minutes, and then we'll check it after that, and then we'll take it out and I'll show you the rest. We get this in the oven. Oh crap! Now it's going to sit on top of the bacon still. I don't care. 6 1/2 dozen together. Okay, hour and 20 minutes. Set the timer for an hour and 20 minutes. Okay.